Okay, so at the beginning of the year, I wrote a bucket list for the winter. So I guess at the beginning of the season, you could say. And I believe there were 6 or 7 things on that list, and I have managed to tackle some of them, which I'm so happy for because the bucket list is working. Essentially, it was a way for me to write down a couple of things that I could do over the course of the season that could just make sure that I am having fun when I am going about my daily life. So they were not necessarily these big experiences on the list. It wasn't like I want to go skydiving or I want to climb a mountain. There was nothing like that. It was really simple things like bake cookies was on the list, and try a new coffee shop, or start knitting again was one of them as well. So it really was just about me having the chance to go out and do things instead of just like sitting in my apartment staring at a wall some days and being like, I don't know what to do. It's super easy for me to flip there and be like, oh, that's on the bucket list. Like, I can check that off today. So let's check in on how I did. I know I did not complete all of them this season, which is fine. The whole purpose of it was never for me to complete all like 7 or 8 items on the list. I just created the new list for spring, which you guys will see soon with my April setup. But yeah, I like how it went. So let's check out what I did. So I genuinely thought that reading on a snowy day was going to be one of those easy tasks for me to check off the list. But quite honestly, it actually ended up being one of the hardest things for me to accomplish. We barely got any snow in Toronto this year, so spending a whole day reading while it was snowing was like near impossible for me to accomplish. Quite honestly, this shot that you see here where I am reading mixed signals truly is from the 10 seconds or like what felt like maybe 3 minutes that we had snow, and I only managed to capture it because I happened to already be reading the book, looked up, and realized that it was blowing snow outside. And when I tell you, it lasted for 10 minutes at most and then melted. But we did it. We checked it off the list. After that, I also started knitting again. So I knew this was going to be an easy one for me to accomplish because I did receive a knit kit from We Are Knitters for Christmas. I was really looking forward to. It's for a cardigan. And I figured one day that I would just go upstairs to one of my building's amenity spaces and just read. So this was, like I said, super easy. I love this yarn. It is super easy for me to knit with, and it's a simple pattern, so there's not much thought involved with it, if that makes sense. Like, I just have to knit and do one type of stitch repeatedly for 100 rows. So it was perfect for me to get back into it, like I mentioned, but also just watch a movie while doing so. I opted for Players, which is Gina Rodriguez's new like movie on Netflix. It was cute, it was fun, it was like just rom-com vibes, but you know, can't complain. I also tackled trying a new coffee shop. So I went to Found Coffee quite early in the year actually. Actually been twice. I went on my birthday, and then it was my birthday, so I wasn't taking like any footage, and then I went back another day in March. It is this like Australian based coffee shop in really close to like this major park in Toronto, and I just love the vibes inside. They have plants everywhere. It's this like coral pink and everything else. Every drink I've had from them has been 10 out of 10, so good. And this day I tried their oats, which they're kind of like known for, and they were also very, very good. Like, it was oats with oat milk, there was blueberries, apple. This was like their winter one. I loved it. And then what else I did was I finally baked cookies. So you know how earlier I was saying there were some things on this list that were just super, super easy for me to accomplish. This was one of them. I Ever since I moved to Toronto, I haven't really baked much, and this was something that I used to do all the time. I used to make cookies, loaves, breads, like whatever you can think of. I used to make it, and I enjoy it so much. And in the summer, I did bring down my grandmother's stand mixer from her house. It was one of the things that I was like, we're not putting that in storage, it has to stay with me. And normally I would make cookies in a stand mixer, but I opted to stir these by hand. But I ended up loving it a lot. These cookies were so good. I used a Love and Lemons recipe, and it was a little bit different than what I'm used to. And I was kind of skeptical at first, but they actually turned out so good. They were so yummy, and I forgot how nice it is just to have like fresh baked goods in the house at all times. Or I shouldn't say at all times, but it's nice to have fresh baked treats in the house. And I made them in the morning and snacked on a couple throughout the day and the next day, and I just really loved it, and it's something that I need to do a little bit more often. And then the final thing on my list was finally grabbing a bottle of wine from Henry's. So Henry's is this restaurant on Queen West in Toronto, and they also have a wine shop associated with them where they sell bottles of wine that, like, looking at their website, I knew that this was something that was going to cost me money. They sell bottles of wine that range in price from like $30 all the way up to, on their website, they have some that are like $225 per bottle. I can't rap because, you know, one of my guilty pleasures is this like peach, like peach Pinot Grigio that's like tastes like juice. So, and it definitely does not cost $200 to get that. So I went in with the expectation that I was going to be spending a little bit on this bottle of wine. I did not spend, obviously, $200. I did ask them for something that fell underneath the $50 range if that was possible. And I ended up coming out with this bottle here, which was explained to me as having, like, the lady was telling me a whole bunch of words and describing wine, and I don't know anything about wine really other than I like to enjoy it. But I brought it home. It apparently has very like raspberry forward or very fruity. So I was excited to delve into it. I did struggle a little bit with getting the cork out there. I don't know if my arms were just tired because I did this after I went to a spin class, and I was wiped. The class was a little bit violent, to be totally honest. I tried, finally got the bottle of wine open, tasted it, and ended up really, really enjoying it. It was not that expensive, and it just kind of reminded me that life is all about those little luxuries, that like moment when you go and grab something that it's a little bit out of the ordinary for you, but it's also kind of like special, if you know what I mean. So, you know, I frequently have wine in my house. I stop by and pick up a bottle every once and again, but there's nothing saying you can't go to a specialty wine shop and pick up a little bit more expensive bottle every once in a while and explore and see what that tastes like or what it's like. So that was my learning, kind of, I guess, from all of this. And I made my wine, and then I made some pasta for dinner, and it was kind of perfect, one could say. So that was my winter 2024 bucket list. I think I actually did a pretty good job with it because I managed to complete 6 out of the 7 items on that list. I didn't book a photo shoot, but that's okay. We're still kind of planning that one out and figuring out how it's going to happen. But if you haven't seen it already, my spring 2024 bucket list and some of the items that I'm going to be tackling or trying to tackle, I should say, are in my April Bujo setup, which is live now. I will link it above for you guys. But yeah, in winter 2024 to get out of my house or just do something fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this and it gave you some ideas of things that you can do. Or, just even let me know what you would add to your spring bucket list. But yeah, till next time, have a great day.